Hey,
Hello.
how goes it?
It goes quite well. How about you?
Good, thanks. Thanks for joining me.
It's wonderful to be here. Thank you so much for having me on your program.
Oh, anytime. How you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. It's been a pretty mellow day
Nice.
in a time of turmoil and uncertainty.
Well said. Well
You know,
said.
so thankfully, I was able to take a Wednesday to give myself a little hard reset and
Nice.
do
Little
some
self-care.
a little self care, some things around the house, taking care of my little puppy. And
He's so cute.
he is very cute. Shout out to my man Boots. He's over here on the sofa right now.
This is Lara, aka the Sound Sommelier, talking with Cosmo Baker, the incomparable Cosmo Baker. Welcome. What's your earliest memory of hip hop, Cosmo?
Laura, that's a great question. Now let me ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
Is it my earliest memory and experience of hip hop music, or is it hip hop culture in general?
Any of those. People have answered anywhere from the first time they saw breaking, first time they heard a song, first time they got a mixtape, kind of anything like that.
Okay, well, listen, I can probably break it down into a few different experiences.
Sure.
The Probably the first thing that really impacted me within the encompassing four elements that they talk about,
Mm-hmm.
seeing the 30th Street Station Wall of Fame,
Nice.
when I would go with my mom and my siblings, driving every Sunday to my grandparents' house for breakfast, and we would drive by the Wall of Fame in Philadelphia, which was plastered with some of the most amazing graffiti pieces that even to this day still are burned into my brain. And graffiti was actually my first love.
Okay.
I was a graffiti writer before I was a DJ, before I was way into music.
I was going to ask about that.
Yeah. So the idea of that kind of being the first thing, which is a touchstone, really could be it. Now, growing up in Philadelphia, you're growing up in a major metropolitan city. You're growing up in the 1980s. You're growing up when hip hop is kind of coming into, I don't want to say coming into its own, but it's all encompassing.
Right.
It's omnipresent. So when you're a kid and you go down the Chestnut Street or you go down the Market Street and you see people breaking out big sheets of linoleum and breakdancing with boom boxes, and you would see this as a constant. So you kind of growing up, it was omnipresent.
Nice.
But other than the Wall of Fame on 30th Street, there were probably a couple records that really first hit me. And I remember, and I can't remember how old I was. I was pretty young. And for those of you who are doing your math, you can say that I was negative 10 years old or whatever when I first heard White Lines.
Okay.
Right. And I heard White Lines on the radio, and it sounded like it was like this alien transmission that was being beamed from freaking Pluto. Like I had never heard anything ever before in my life that was like that.
Right.
And, especially back then, a lot of the hip hop was more like electro based.
Right.
So, that also ran concurrently with a lot of the stuff that the break dancers and the breakers were all listening to. So, whereas maybe that not necessarily be considered technically hip hop, that electro stuff ended up also kind of becoming a gateway for me. So, the other thing was when Nucleus Jam on It came out.
Nice. I've never heard someone say that one. That's a good one.
The guy's name was Cosmo. So
True.
it ended up being a thing where that was on the radio and all the kids listened to that. And then, we would hear records on the radio that were played during the weekend. And then on Monday at grade school at lunchtime, banging up beats on the lunch table and whatnot. That all of a sudden I became very popular because my name was mentioned in a really dope rap song. So,
Nice.
so I'm going to say like probably between White Lines and
Jam on It.
Jam on It. Yeah.
I like it. Speaking of records, which records do you recall hearing in your home growing up? Were your parents big into music, or?
Oh, yeah, yeah. My mom was always big into music. My stepdad also as well. And my mom would play stuff, everything from Van Morrison to the Stones to John Coltrane to Taj Mahal to, R&B, things like
Hmm.
that. And then and Grace Jones was kind of this preeminent figure in my house. In fact, I have in my house a poster that hung in my house growing up as a kid. It was the Jean-Paul Gaultier one-man show, Grace Jones.
Hmm.
And so I actually found it in my mom's basement and I hung it up here in my house. So anyway, all that stuff was there. And then as I got a little older and as sounds changed and times changed, my mom actually owned a skateboard store when I was,
Oh, awesome.
yeah. So like my mom would end up playing like The Clash and Camper Van Beethoven and Big Audio Dynamite and all sorts of cool kind of indie shit like that as well.
Hmm.
Also on top of that, I have an older sister, and my older sister at a very young age got really into the hardcore scene. So like a lot of that early, especially the Philly early punk stuff,
Right.
my sister would play. So so I had all these influences that were in the house, and then there was all the stuff that I heard outside of the house, which again was hip hop that really,
Kind of clung to. Hmm.
yeah, it drew me in. And especially at the time when it is kind of just bubbling under,
Hmm.
you, and your friends, you have this idea that it's almost like this secret club that you have
Hmm.
access to. So, in the sense that my sister was listening to hardcore, and my mom was playing all this other stuff that I'm going to reject, even though I
Right.
love, you know,
Because you have to.
exactly, as kids do. And
Hmm.
my sister with all the punk stuff and whatnot, and I was just like, yeah, that's cool, that's yours. This right here is gonna be mine.
Hmm.
This Run DMC, this Fat Boys, this Houdini, this is mine.
Hmm.
And
I like
so,
it.
yeah, so it kind of, we get to a place, and everything that we, the road that we walk, you
Hmm.
know, creates that place for us.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Do you remember what the first record you ever bought with your own money was?
Okay. Yeah, let me think about this. That's a good question. So I know what the first record I technically owned was.
Okay.
Didn't buy it. It was Elton John, Benny and the Jets on
Nice.
45, and that was like my jam. That's still.
Hmm. I love that song. Yeah.
But I didn't buy it. I didn't pay for that because I was a baby.
Right.
So I think that the first record that I bought, which I actually think was a tape, I think that the first record I bought was a K-Tel electro breakdance compilation,
Mm.
and I think that it was the one that had Nucleus Jam on it.
And was that the first time you heard it, or you bought it because it had that on it?
I bought it because it was the song
Nice.
I heard on the radio, which had my name on it, and I needed to have it. So that was the first part of the first step into my collection. First vinyl that I bought was the first vinyl that I ever bought was EPMD. Got to give the people what they want on 12-inch.
Nice.
Yeah. So
That's a good
yeah.
one.
Yeah.
So you said you started out as a graffiti writer. When did you get into DJing? Like, did graffiti writing lead you into DJing, or was it a totally separate?
I think it was a totally separate thing.
Hmm.
The idea of I kind of have this thing, which is, I don't know if it's an obsessive compulsive thing, but very much into like being a completionist.
Hmm.
So when I start collecting, like I have to collect it all, and I need to get it.
I get it.
And very early on, when I was young and really getting into hip hop music, I would listen to the radio. It was Power 99, and it was WDAS 105.3, and there was two shows. It was the Lady B Street Beat show, and then there was another show on DAS, which was Mimi Brown. And they would, I don't remember what nights, but it was on the weekend, right? So I would listen to these shows religiously on the weekend, and then I would make tapes. And I had a dual cassette tape jump off. You know those things, right?
I had one of those too.
Yes, it's like archaic technology at this point, but it was kind of crucial in the development of the art.
Yeah, it was the only way you could record off the radio.
Exactly, because you could record off the radio, but then also on top of that is because of the dual cassette capability, it allowed people like me to kind of develop rudimentary mixing techniques, which came in the form of like pause tapes. You know,
I was just going to say pause tapes.
Yeah. So people don't necessarily know about what pause tapes are. You would actually take a tape, something which was pre-recorded on one tape, and then you had a blank tape on the other cassette deck, and you would play something, you play and record, right? And then you would pause and stop, and then switch the tape out, right? And you kind of created your own little pastiche. Exactly, and you could do loops and whatnot. So that was really what really kind of put me on into the idea of sequencing and the idea of trying to create these stories and tell narratives through music. And then it was out of that and realizing, okay, there's a Jungle Brothers record that, I know that I've heard that before. I've heard that on my mom's Sly and the Family Stone record, you know? So it was around that time that I started to kind of put all this stuff together. And this is way before I got into even had turntable. I kind of became quickly known in school as the kid who had the music. Like, you want a hot tape, or you want the new Coochie Rap or whatever. Like, Cosmo's got it. He knows about it, you know. And,
I love it.
You know, being the nerd that I am, you know, shout out to nerds. Being the nerd that I am, you know, I just kind of had to completely throw myself and develop not just the techniques of what it is that I do, mechanic, but also more of a mental mind state. And so it was out of that, and then before you know it, I was being asked by people in school, hey, we're having a party, like the speakers and the tape deck and the music, you know. So then I'd be like, all right, cool. Like, hey, you want to pay my cab fare? You want to pay me a little money? You know? It was out of that I realized I'm turning into something that I actually really love. And most of us love the idea of sharing stuff with people and turning people on to new shit. And it was, I think I'm going to try to take it to the next level and go on to turntables, which I did at like 16 is turntables. Yeah.
Nice.
When did DJing?
No, that was perfect. I love long-winded answers. When did DJing become more than a hobby? Do you remember like the first time you got paid to play at a party? Was it a house party?
Yeah, party. I remember, and I got paid $50, and I was psyched, so psyched, because I had some sort of arrangement with the homie. It was this guy Ed, and it was up in Germantown. Germantown is uptown in Philly, right? This is guy Ed. It was his party, and I'll DJ a party. Want to throw me some dollars and throw some money, right? And it was like a house party in high school. Like, you know, they collect what they can collect, and then nobody cares at a certain point. And he hit me off like $50 at the end of the night, which I was just like, oh, wow, you know, like, whoa, I hit the big time, you know. But the thing is, it ended up being that I don't know, maybe I guess it was enterprising enough so that I realized that if I were to get my shit in order and present it right, then I could actually do this and help subsidize, because I always worked. I always had a job since I was like 14, you know, and I was able
Oh, Cosmo, your video cut out.
Wow. Okay. You're frozen right now. Okay, I can see you again. Now I'm
Yeah, you're frozen.
okay. Hold on.
Oh,
Okay,
can you hear me?
we live?
Yep, I hear you now.
I realized. You know what? I'm gonna just kind of do this. Ended up going to college. I went to Temple, and I went to Temple for communications. But the reason why communications because I was already DJing. I figured it would be a good degree to get jammed up.
Yeah, you're frozen. I see a little like spinning circle, which I think means that it's buffering. I haven't seen my camera freeze, but you might not. You might see differently. Yep.
Okay.
I can hear you
Can you hear
perfectly
me now, though?
Oh, there it goes again. Do you want to try exiting and starting over? Should we try leaving and coming back? Mm-hmm. Oh, technology. Cosmo, I'm going to cut you out and then invite you back in, okay?
There we go.
Yay!
Full disclaimer: this happened last time when I was on the. I was on. I don't know if you're familiar with the questions, which is an online. Yeah, so I was on the questions. Shout out to my homies Sean and Steve Wonder in the questions. They had me, and I was killing it. And then I was killing it.
Yeah, I was killing it on the questions.
Killing it on the questions, but then the network got jacked. So I am right now standing as close to my router as possible. We're gonna make sure that this.
Are you okay? Are you comfortable? I don't want you to feel.
I'm as comfortable as I can be. Trust me.
I have like this one spot in my apartment that always gets like the best service, so I just stick to this one spot.
That's the way to do it. And the funny thing is, now in these weird times where we're all streaming and broadcasting from our house, like we have to figure out what
share the bandwidth.
That's right, and that's right. Share the bandwidth because bandwidth is taxed. It is taxed.
Yep. It is. But I appreciate you sticking with me.
Oh, my pleasure. Shout out to everybody who's in the chat. I saw my man Dr. Drew. I saw Maeve Steele from De La Soul's here. I saw Steve Wonder's here.
Yeah, a couple people said hi to you. Hope you saw that.
Yeah.
Feel free to interrupt the interview to just say hi. That's fine.
You can say hi. Shout out to Bootsy's here. A bunch of other homies in here. Sophia's up in here. My man Julie from NYC Dope. And oh, and now I'm paused again.
I can hear you fine though. Your face is paused. Oh, there you go.
Okay.
It's okay. It'll be a fun interview. It's okay.
This is going to be.
Streets of Philadelphia.
Let me mask up real quick. I know.
Oh, are you going outside?
Exception
All
outside.
right.
All right.
All right. Do what you gotta do.
I'm outside right now. Philadelphia. All right.
Oh, I haven't been in Philly in so long.
Be out here. Yeah. Philly's wonderful.
I appreciate how responsible you are.
Complicated. Well, Philadelphia's a wonderful, complicated city, but I love it. It's my home. All right. Cool. And you are.
You are frozen. Oh, there we go.
There we go. Okay, we're good to go. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Wonderful.
I can hear you. I can see you. We're good.
Beautiful. Welcome to South Philadelphia, everyone.
Yeah. Hey, Philly. I was just asking you about your first paid gig. You were talking about how you made a few dollars.
Yeah,
more than a few dollars.
Yeah, and so the thing is, like, I was always kind of making a little bit of money during high school. It was, just something, again, to kind of subsidize money that I was making with part-time jobs that I had going to high school. But knowing that I could actually get paid doing something that I loved, something that I would have done anyway, I decided to kind of figure out a way to make that somewhat fruitful. And
someone just said, "Don't move."
Don't move. Okay, G Clef. I'm not moving. Okay. Love the comments too. Keep on firing it off in the comments.
We love the chat. Yeah.
We love the chat. Shout out to the chat. Yeah. So it was just one of those things where I just kind of understood that there was an opportunity there, and although I've had jobs in the past and I've had gainful employment as an adult. Probably by my early 20s, I realized, like, I'm making a lot of money doing this, and it's something that I'm going to be doing anyway. So, throw up directly to it.
Nice. Do you feel growing up in Philly played a role in your decision to pursue music professionally?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, Philadelphia's got a lot of history, a lot of history. It is a very wonderful and complicated city. Like I said before. It is a very soulful city. It is a tough city. It's a working class city. It's a very black city. All these things very much have influenced me, not just as a person, but as somebody who is involved with music. So one of the things about having grown up in Philadelphia is I think that really has kind of dictated not just what my sound is, but also, hold on, we got some homies dropping by. Homie Frankie, not just what my sound is, but also kind of how I approach it, if that makes any sense. The thing with Philly, and specifically with Philadelphia DJing, like, people often say that Philadelphia DJs are like, we're a breed amongst ourselves, like there's something in the water. There's, like, how are Philadelphia DJs, and I'm saying this with all humility, how are Philadelphia DJs so good and so innovative and so cutting edge and whatnot? And, I really rebuke the idea that it's something which is, innate in Philadelphia, other than in Philly, people have really good taste, for the most part. And also, it's a tough city, so they have no filter. And if you're not good, they're going to let you know. So if you want to do it, you have to get really good really quick, or you're not going to survive.
Yeah, it also clears out all the crap, probably.
Exactly. And also there's obviously like the little brother kind of relationship that Philadelphia has had with New York, strictly due to proximity. Philadelphia wanting to be a place which really asserted its own musical independence and its own civic independence as well. So all of these factors really have kind of been written into the DNA of me as a music person. And I think that by and large, pretty much almost everybody that has come out of Philadelphia, we kind of share that same undercurrent.
Right.
Yeah.
Why do you think Philly is often forgotten as a major hip hop hub?
Again, I think it's probably the proximity to New York. There's often lots of, well, there's a few different things. You know, like if you look at like marketing budgets from any major company, right? Marketing budgets are always broken down to region. Philadelphia has traditionally been grouped into the New York region. So
Mm-hmm.
we're 9+ miles away. And so, like, why spend any time or any energy or attention to Philadelphia when you can have New York, right?
Fair. Mm-hmm.
And so there is that. I also think that just also because of the proximity that it's often been overlooked. Uh, you know, Philadelphia also has a bit of a self-destructive tendency. Like
Okay.
we're our biggest critics, we're our biggest haters. There's the concept of crabs in a barrel, which I think every city and every kind of community has to degrees, but Philadelphia has it in spades, right? So that's definitely been something that we have dealt with.
Mm-hmm.
However, if you look at it, Philadelphia traditionally has had a consistent presence within hip hop, going back to 1979. The first rap record ever recorded was rap record on vinyl ever recorded was Rapper's Delight. Also in 1979, the first woman rap record ever recorded was Lady B from Philadelphia, right? So 70s,
Mm-hmm.
80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s, 2020s, we have presence in 6 decades of rap music.